They're playing Minnesota here coming up, and they're only four points out of the wild card too. So these games are going up a level. So I mean that's the cool thing. Not so much say against the Kings, but that was a darn good win against the Winnipeg team that's trying to stay ahead of the Minnesota Wild. And then it'll be if they get through that game in Minnesota one way or the other. It's not an easy building to go into and take a couple of points off. But look, I can't wait for the Columbus game, man. I really, really can't wait for that game. Outside of the game that I'm actually going to on Sunday against Boston. But I can't wait to just see the Rangers play the Blue Jackets again and see if they can kind of, show up a little, give them the business a little more. I mean, the last game they played last minute and stuff like that. But just in terms of where Columbus is kind of leapfrogged up there, they're the top 5-6 team in the league now, and it's another good test for them. And obviously the whole thing with Torts and everything else. But if they can, hopefully they can win here against Minnesota and then go into Columbus again. I think it was kind of the same situation, right? When they went into Columbus, they had beat the Islanders a couple of times. It's almost like it's lining up the same kind of thing. That if they do beat Minnesota here before the Columbus game, they'll have almost a 3-game winning streak, and then it's the Blue Jackets that they're going to run into again, and then we'll see where the goaltending situation is too. I mean that's the kind of I guess we're kind of getting used to the fact that Shesty's on the bench. He's here. He's not going anywhere. There hasn't been any kind of, I guess, Quinn in a couple of his press conferences saying, he's here to stay right now. But I think that's one thing all of us as Ranger fans are just adjusting to. We'll at least know one guy is staying. One guy's definitely getting the starts, and then it's between Hank and Georgie. And, so we're adjusting to that. And then seeing the guys put up 8 goals and play pretty well here. And, like I said, 9 points out with, a bunch of hockey to go. Maybe this is the week, KD. Maybe this is the run. Can they do it this week? I don't have to be Boston on Sunday, but hey, is this the week, KD?
Who knows? I mean, I hope so. I mean, this team was so inconsistent earlier in the year, and every week I was predicting that they were going to, lose against the teams they should beat and beat the teams they should lose to, and it was amazingly, it was sort of working out. But now, they're beating on the team you mentioned before. They're beating the teams they should beat, and they're actually beating some of the teams they shouldn't beat as well. So they've just been a good, solid team lately. I mean, and again, I think it just goes to the lineup. And actually, I sit here and I praise Quinn all the time, but the one thing that I do criticize him on are his lineup decisions sometimes. And for some reason, after that great Toronto win last week, he flipped the lines in that Buffalo game, and then they lost. I just don't understand how you have that great win against Toronto, and then he sort of screws up the lines. I don't know if he's overthinking or, just decided to change things up or whatever. Didn't like what he saw for some reason in the Toronto game. And then, of course, he went back, to the proper lineup against the Kings, and we win again. And then, we now have put this solid lineup together, like I mentioned before, and we go into Winnipeg and win. So if Quinn can, keep himself from making the lineup changes that he just loves to do, I think this team is going to have, a solid week. And yeah, some good teams coming up, like you said, Columbus and Boston. And then next week, Carolina, and we play Montreal and Philadelphia at the end of the month. So, there's some good tests coming up. We got the Islanders again. So yeah, I'm excited to see what, this team can do now that they've sort of found this lineup that's working. The defense has been playing well. I mean, Fox is just he's the best defenseman on the team right now. I mean, and it's not even close.
You didn't always feel that way, though, did you?
Who, me? Fox?
Yeah.
What, are you crazy?
No, you didn't feel that way earlier. On the roll tape back. No, you didn't.
No. I said Stahl, not Fox. And actually, and Stahl, I'm going to be honest. It's not very
here
often.
We go, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Let me just get comfy here in the seat and get my drink here. And all right, Katie, go ahead. Give me some
you ready?
Give me some Stahl beans.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's not very often I'm wrong on this podcast.
I can't get through it. Go.
But I thought Stahl was done. I mean, seriously, I was ready for them to buy him out in November. Just I don't know if you can do that, but I was ready for them to do that. And now, I mean, he's really, since he got back in the lineup and Hayek went down with the injury, and obviously now Hayek is in the AHL, to me, Stoll's been a completely different defenseman. I mean, he hasn't. It's not like he's been great or anything, but he's just been solid.
And
You
that's all
don't
you need Mark to
yeah,
be.
exactly.
It's all you need him to
Exactly.
be.
So I've gone from wanting him bought out in the middle of the season to let's keep him around for even next year. Because if he can continue to play this way, and we have all these younger guys coming in next year, I mean, you're going to need some type of veteran, sort of steady veteran presence.
Now he's going to be our defensive guru. Unbelievable.
It is really crazy how fickle this fan base can be. Not me,
are you?
But this fan.
Give me a break.
Hey, look, Paulie, I preferenced all my Stahl criticisms about him being a warrior and all the great moments, and so.
Yeah, well, I got some digs.
So I'm allowed.
You also
I'm allowed.
said 2 on tape, buddy. Too. I got them as well.
But yeah, I mean, the defense has really, been coming together. I mean, obviously they've had the offense all year, but it's that Lindy Ruff defensive system. It's really coming together, Paulie. Man, that guy is just a defensive, just genius right now.
Oh yeah, 87 shots against the last 2 games.
But
oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, and just really Chess York, and he's just phenomenal in there. He's so quick. There's not a lot of rebounds. Ah, man, he is just. I mean, as a former goal, he's just fun to watch. Absolutely, just a fun goaltender to watch. He's already, he's just looking like an elite goaltender. What is he, like 6 games into his NHL career, and you're just this guy is going to be, he's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great stats about him. He's won everywhere. He's just constantly been a winner, and he's proven it here, obviously, with his team right now, and obviously dealing with the defensive struggles, in the last couple of games, and he's been there, and he's and we're lucky as Rangers fans. I mean, you have to look in the mirror here and realize how spoiled we are. The fact that we've had, Hank here the last 15 years or whatever it is, and then, before that it was, Richter and so on and so forth, and then, here we are. And Georgiev, he's still the goods, man. He's still the goods. I'm a big fan of Georgia boy, and it's just going to be interesting where this things go. But as a franchise, as a team, and as a fan base. Look, listen to us. Our biggest problem is like who's going to stay in goal and who's going to get traded. There's a bunch of teams in this league that are hanging by a thread on one goaltender, or hoping, or they're rotating two guys in back and forth every night who are not playing on a certain kind of level. And then again, like I said, we have the depth down in the form too. So it's a great thing to watch, So we're having fun with it. I mean, obviously, me and you here every Wednesday night, the twists and the turns. It's just great to come back here on a Wednesday night after a couple of big wins, and just seeing the team kind of progress. And they're still doing that whole, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen these next couple of games. The win couple and then lose a couple. I mean, they could easily, get their butts kicked tomorrow night, and then, Friday stumble against Columbus because, Columbus is going to ratchet up the emotions and everything else. And then Boston comes in on Sunday, and they're just world beaters right now. So we could be looking at next week, me and you, or like I said, throwing stuff on the wall and all angry again. But, hey,
Trade everyone.
Wow. That's just going to go back and forth, I guess, until we freaking get there, man. I've never wanted a trade deadline come so much, I think, prior to this season. Hey, the other thing, too, buddy, is what's this sixth ranked power play? What's this all about?
Yeah, they've been phenomenal lately. And I was looking back at some of the power play goals that they've had over the last couple of weeks, and all of the goals are, like, right from in front of the net. And that's making the biggest difference. And most of it is Kreider because he's just been a monster. He's just banging home rebounds, deflections. He's just been
pay him what he wants. Pay him what he wants, Katie. Just pay him what he wants.
He's just been like a physical force in front of the net. But it's been everyone. There's been some nice tip-ins in front. Zibanejad had one. Howden had a nice goal in front where he gloved it, put it down, and scored. So it's a lot of sort of dirty, like greasy goals that you need on the power plays, making those plays in front of the net. And the Rangers have a ton of skill on the power play as well. But they're getting those tough goals that you need to have, and they're making those tough plays, and it all starts with Kreider. Like I said, I mean, he's the biggest reason that the power play's been good all year, but it over the last couple of weeks, it's really even progressed even further. Where like you mentioned, they're number 6 in the league now, and they're just getting to the right places in front of the net, sort of causing that havoc in front. The team is getting pucks to the net, which is just as important as getting bodies to the net, and they're finding ways
buddy?
to.
Are you all right? Okay.
Yeah, just one too many White Claw over here. My bad.
I hear you struggling over there. You okay, buddy?
I had the hiccups. Goodness, I got to stop drinking. So I had a drink beforehand to calm myself down because I knew I was going to start getting fired up about the team and how right I've been since day one, Paulie. Should I go over that again?
No, I got to start drinking more because you're making me sick.
But yeah, it's the power play's been fun to watch. Again, I just love the skill out there, and it's really been mostly the first line, the first power play unit that's been doing the damage. But they've just got skill throughout this team, young skilled players. It's like I said, it's just fun to watch this team. It's been fun to watch it progress from the beginning of the year when we were getting a little frustrated with how patient the organization was being with them, with having guys like Smith and Haley out there. And I get that we don't want to see those guys out there, but I always felt that they had a plan, that it was ultimately going to shift to the younger players and work its way through. And JD, like, he had that one interview, it still sticks in my head, from the second game of the season in Ottawa. He must have said the word patient like 20 times during the interview. And I just said, that's how they're going to play it this year. They're not going to force these guys into the lineup, and they're going to let it play out. They're going to let these guys learn the game, learn how to play it the right way, send Hedel down to the AHL when they didn't think he was taken seriously.
But on that point,
you're cutting me off in the middle of me praising myself?
Yeah, I am. Because...
Oh,
well, I mean, there really hasn't been, as forcing these guys to play this and that or whatever. I mean, this has pretty much been the same crew since, the beginning of the season. You know what I'm saying? Outside of Shesterkin coming in here, Hedel obviously coming back up, but, and, Giuseppe getting a little bit of time here or whatever. But, Quinn hasn't really had to go down and throw the line out and pull a bunch of guys up. And again, granted, they've been healthy too. So this team is pretty much, it's crazy now because you think back of all the games they played right now, and it's the season's kind of going fast here as we start heading towards, the playoff push and everything else. But when you sit back here, this has basically been this is the team. There hasn't been too many changes. We've had to kind of, we railed on Kako a little bit, or at least I did last week. It's been the constant thing, the constant banter back and forth we've been very focused on the goalie situation. The defense has proved himself. I mean, they really haven't been outplayed in a game in a long time. I mean, there's been a couple of spots where they go, okay, maybe you could have picked it up there. But, I mean, you brought it up. They haven't been blown out in a long time. They're a fun team to watch. They're competitive. There's mistakes that they made. The other thing, too, as far as, stupid penalties and special teams as far as on the penalty killing side, I mean, we really haven't had to talk too much about that either recently, too. So, I mean, we can sit here and laugh and have a lot of fun and everything, and this is a rebuild and the goalie situation and the trade room is coming up. But, I mean, it's not a bad team,
Yeah, sometimes,
like I said,
it takes a while.
The lineup hasn't changed really that much, if nothing at all. You feel me?
Yeah, I think that I feel like the changes, though, that they had to make, like, there was only a couple of them. It was the Anderson issue where, they had to figure out what they were doing with him. And unfortunately, it ended up working out the way it did, which isn't the way anybody wanted to. It was Howden on the third line and figuring out what to do with him. And look, it's sort of Quinn figuring out, the roles that these guys have on the team too. I mean, Howden was the third line center. He was really over his head in that position, but he's found a home on the wing. He's now on the fourth line, Lemieux as well.